Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we're doing something truly incredible, and I really want you to shift your mindset right out of the gate. Just imagine stepping into the worn sandals of an ancient truth seeker. You're standing right in front of the heavy, forbidden gates of a massive mystery. Together, we're going to decode a legendary, highly esoteric text known as the Copper Talismans and Iron Scrolls. And look, this isn't just some dusty, outdated historical document. It's a meticulous, incredibly intense blueprint for achieving the ultimate transformation of the self, and really, the entire cosmos. So let's unlock these ancient secrets together as fellow seekers on the path. Right off the bat, the text hits us with this profound, almost paradoxical instruction. It says, accumulate secret merit beforehand, and you won't struggle at the furnace. Now this immediately tells us everything we need to know about the staggering journey ahead. We are not just looking at some primitive chemistry experiment here or a greedy recipe for turning lead into gold. No way. This is a deeply spiritual journey. The physical furnace, it's really just a mirror of your own soul. Think about it. If your inner spirit is chaotic, if it's burdened or totally unprepared, the physical fire simply isn't going to burn right. The inner turmoil of your mind literally translates to the instability of the flame. To master the alchemy, we have to master ourselves first. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's journey across the three realms of earth, human, and heaven. 1. Seeking, opening the mystic door. 2. Crucible, the rigor of ancient cultivation. 3. Lead and mercury, embodiments of yin and yang. 4. Fire control, the precise art of time. 5. Cultivating the heart, self-cultivation before alchemy. And 6. Merit, the key to unity of heaven and man. Section 1. Seeking, opening the mystic door. So we start at the very beginning of the journey. Seeking. Try to adopt the mindset of a novice who has just been handed the keys to the universe, only to realize the door is impossibly heavy. The task before us is absolutely monumental. The ultimate prize described in the scrolls is the divine pill, which is basically a substance of pure cosmic energy that promises to elevate the seeker to the divine. But the text is extremely quick to establish these overwhelming, intimidating rules. To even begin, you have to master the earth, the human, and the heaven realms. You can't just stumble into this as a weekend hobby. You have to perfectly align your physical environment, your own deeply flawed body, and the vast turning celestial movements above. The secrecy is paramount too. The text warns against letting any mundane impurities or uninitiated eyes anywhere near your secret space. It's just you, entirely alone with the cosmos. Moving right along to Section 2, Crucible, the rigor of ancient cultivation. That brings us to our physical foundation. And wow, we really need to talk about the extreme, almost obsessive precision detailed in the ancient scrolls setup phase. The grueling physical preparation required here is just astounding. First off, you have to build a complex altar in an isolated, spiritually pure location, perfectly oriented to face south. You can't just run to the store and buy a crucible either. You have to cast it from pure metal on exact astrological days. Forget trying to sync up your calendar app for a meeting. If the 5 planets aren't perfectly aligned in the heavens, your crucible casting simply has to wait. And fire? You don't just strike a flint. You actually have to gather true fire directly from the sun using a bronze mirror exactly at noon. And true water has to be captured under specific phases of the moon or during highly specific, pure rainstorms. The whole environment must be completely isolated from the noise of the mundane world. And speaking of that true water, just consider this staggering number. 2,500. The text specifies that over 2,500 pounds of this true water are needed over the course of a single year's cycle. That is well over a ton of water. I really want you to imagine the visceral, massive physical undertaking here. Picture your muscles aching, being completely exhausted, meticulously gathering that much water, drop by precious drop, hauling heavy vessels in the dead of night. And remember, you can only gather it during specific rains in the 4th lunar month or under the mid-autumn moon. It really highlights how ancient alchemy was this all-consuming, physically devastating devotion of extreme labor. You literally had to sweat and bleed before you could transcend. All right, Section 3, Lead and Mercury, embodiments of yin and yang. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how the text shifts gears from the strictly physical to the deeply metaphorical. Once our exhausting crucible is finally set up, we have to gather our ingredients, lead and mercury. But we kind of need to demystify this esoteric jargon right here. The ancient masters were not just boiling down toxic heavy metals in some primitive lab. The true lead and true mercury mentioned in the Copper Talismans are actually physical stand-ins for vast universal forces. They are the true embodiments of true yang, which represents the boundless energy of heaven, and true yin, representing the grounding force of earth. So yes, the physical metals were used in the outer crucible for sure,
but they were actually meant to act as spiritual magnets to capture and bind these invisible cosmic energies into a physical form.
Take the golden crow, for instance. As a seeker reading through this text, you'll frequently see mentions of capturing the golden crow. Well, this obviously isn't a bird you go hunting for. It represents the active yang force, the raw, scorching essence of the sun and true fire. By using a specialized bronze mirror to focus sunlight perfectly at noon, the ancients profoundly believed they weren't just making heat to warm up a pot. No, they believed they were literally capturing a living piece of the cosmos, trapping the spiritual essence of the sun itself inside their meticulously prepared crucible. It is just a stunning blend of early physics and high cosmic spirituality. Which brings us to Section 4, Fire Control, the precise art of time. Let's see how all of this builds into the next, and arguably most demanding phase of our journey, fire control. This is where alchemy becomes an incredible mathematical and spiritual art of timing. Take a look at this number, 4,320. This represents the exact number of hexagrams and subtle shifts in the fire's intensity mapped out across a full year of cultivation. As a seeker, you had to control the blistering heat with absolute unbroken focus. You adjusted the flame hour by hour. Actually, scratch that. It was a day and night continuous effort to perfectly match the exact mathematical turning of the universe. It's a level of rigorous mindfulness that makes our modern meditation look completely effortless. Just imagine the sheer anxiety of that. A single moment of lost focus, one time you happen to nod off at the bellows, and you ruin an entire year's worth of excruciating work. And this brilliantly illustrates how the alchemy process was perfectly, flawlessly synced with the cosmos. Every single action had its exact astronomical moment. The fire was measured out in highly specific ounces based on the rhythmic ticking of the lunar calendar. At the spring equinox, specific energetic fires were stopped. At the autumn equinox, specific waters were halted. As the seeker, you had to become a living, breathing clock. You had to be totally attuned to the relentless rhythms of nature for one whole year. Section 5. Cultivating the heart. Self-cultivation before alchemy. But here is the ultimate twist of the copper talismans. You can carry those thousands of pounds of the purest water, you can align the perfect south-facing crucible, and you can measure out the scorching fire 4,320 times flawlessly, and it will all completely fail without this next step. Before you are even permitted to approach the furnace, there are absolute moral prerequisites. The text explicitly demands that you, the seeker, banish lust, strictly avoid killing, actively practice charity, and rigorously purify your body and mind. The intense heat of the furnace is actually a mirror, designed to test the trials of your personal character. You simply cannot forge the divine pill if your own soul is impure.
And the scrolls do not mince words here at all. Listen to this warning. If one violates these, the gods will despise them, and the Tao of alchemy will be impossible to achieve. The severity of this rule is absolute. The physical pill is totally, completely useless without a purified spiritual foundation. Just think about the gravity of that for a second. The alchemy of the metals is entirely secondary to the alchemy of the soul.
Now for Section 6. Merit. The key to unity of heaven and man. So, the crucial point is, what is the actual secret that makes this whole magnificent, year-long process work? We've reached the true climax of our seeker's narrative. The ultimate secret ingredient isn't astrological timing, and it certainly isn't pure lead. The copper talismans insist that true cultivation is found in yin di, which means secret merit. This means doing profound good deeds in the shadows. It means helping others without ever seeking recognition, praise, or reward. Because let's be honest, the hardest part of charity is not taking credit for it, right? The unseen good you do in the world is the actual, invisible fire that cooks the divine pill. This beautifully contrasts with the whole pop culture view of an alchemist as some greedy, isolated wizard trying to get rich by making gold. The ultimate goal of consuming this divine pill wasn't to achieve selfish, personal immortality just to live forever on a mountaintop. No, the text revealed that the power of the elixir was meant to empower the seeker, to save the living, to actively relieve the suffering of the masses, and to maintain extreme sincerity in all things. The goal was to become a conduit for cosmic healing, achieving a total unity between heaven and man. The true alchemist doesn't conquer the world. The true alchemist serves the world. Which brings us to the end of our journey today and leaves us with a pretty profound question to ponder. If the ancient masters knew that the true crucible is the human heart and the real gold is unseen, secret merit, well, what alchemy are you practicing in your daily life? How are you actively turning the heavy, difficult, exhausting moments of your day into opportunities for unseen charity and spiritual refinement? Thank you so much for exploring the depths of the copper talismans with me today. Keep cultivating that inner fire.